Have you ever looked at a world map and thought, Earth is this beautiful, perfect sphere of mountains, rivers, and oceans? Well, for some countries, that's just a dream. Their geographical reality is so extreme that just surviving is a daily struggle. Welcome to our journey to explore the worst designed geography on Earth. We'll visit countries with the strangest borders, regions where nature is a constant deadly threat, and nations whose very shape, size, and location make development seem almost impossible. These are places where geography isn't just a backdrop. It's the main character in a relentless story of survival. In this series, we'll uncover 5 incredible stories. We'll start in Bangladesh, a floodplain nightmare where the land is literally disappearing. Then, we'll climb into Nepal, the vertical country locked between giants. We'll journey across Russia, a nation so vast it's almost too big to manage. We'll see how Egypt has been trapped by the desert for millennia. And finally, we'll venture into the Democratic Republic of Congo, a land of immense wealth but deadly geography. Let's begin our journey in South Asia, in a country built on water, where life and death flow with the tides. This is Bangladesh, the floodplain nightmare. Bangladesh is located on the largest river delta in the world. Imagine 3 colossal rivers, the Ganges, the Brahmaputra, the Magnal, converging and emptying into the sea right here. These rivers aren't just lines on a map. They're the lifeblood and the curse of this nation. They've created a massive, intricate water system where everything from farming to where you build your house depends entirely on the whims of the water. Every single year, without fail, between 25 to 30% of Bangladesh floods. That's already a huge number, but during a major flood, that figure can skyrocket to 60%. More than half the country can be submerged underwater. This isn't a once-in-a-century event. It's a yearly reality. But the flooding is only part of the story. The land itself is alive, constantly shifting. The powerful currents of these rivers erode the banks, washing away entire villages overnight. Homes, schools, and markets that have stood for generations can simply vanish into the water. At the same time, new islands, known as chars, emerge from the silt. People who have lost everything might move to these new, unstable lands, knowing that the river that gave them this new home could just as easily take it away again. This constant state of flux creates endless challenges. How do you build permanent infrastructure like roads, bridges, or hospitals when the very ground beneath you is unstable? It's nearly impossible. Agriculture, the backbone of the economy, is always one flood away from disaster. A farmer can plant their crops only to see their entire harvest washed away just before it's ready. The challenges don't stop at the rivers. Along the coast, the country faces a double threat. Rising sea levels are slowly consuming the low-lying coastal areas, pushing saltwater further inland. This saltwater intrusion contaminates freshwater sources. It's making it unsafe to drink and poisoning the soil, which kills crops. On top of all this, Bangladesh is located in one of the world's most active cyclone corridors. Devastating storms barrel in from the Bay of Bengal every few years, bringing storm surges that can flood cities and wipe out entire communities. Life in Bangladesh is a powerful testament to human resilience. It shows what happens when a nation's fate is completely tied to water. It's a constant, precarious dance with nature, where survival means adapting to a world that is always changing, always moving, and always wet. This is a story of a nation living on the edge, defined by the very water that sustains it. But our journey is just beginning. From the flat, waterlogged plains of Bangladesh, we now travel north to the roof of the world. At our next segment, we'll explore Nepal, a country that exists almost entirely on a vertical axis, squeezed between 2 of the world's most powerful nations. Stay with us. We often imagine our planet as this beautiful, idyllic place, full of majestic mountains, winding rivers, and vast oceans. But for some nations, geography isn't a beautiful backdrop. It's a daily battle for survival. What if the very land your country is built on was designed in a way that makes life almost impossible? Welcome to a journey across the globe to discover the countries with the strangest borders, the most hostile environments, and the most challenging landscapes. We'll explore nations where nature is a constant threat, where size and location cripple development, and where the land itself seems to be working against its people. These are the places you could call the worst designed geographies on Earth. In this series, we'll uncover 5 incredible stories of resilience. We'll start with Bangladesh, a nation literally built on water. Then, we'll climb into Nepal, the vertical country. We'll journey across Russia, a giant so big it's almost impossible to manage. We'll see how Egypt is a nation trapped by its own desert. And finally, we'll venture into the Democratic Republic of Congo, a land of immense wealth and equally immense danger. So, let's begin our journey in South Asia with our first case study, Bangladesh, the floodplain nightmare. Imagine a country that's not just next to a river, but is the river. That's Bangladesh. It sits on the largest river delta in the world, a colossal floodplain created by the convergence of 3 titanic rivers, the Ganges, the Brahmaputra, and the Meghna. These aren't just rivers. They are the lifeblood and the single greatest threat to this nation of over 170 million people. Together, they form a sprawling, dynamic water system that dictates every aspect of life. Here, the land is alive, but not in the way you might think. It's constantly moving, shifting, and disappearing. Every year during the monsoon season, a predictable disaster unfolds. Between 25 to 30% of the entire country floods. That's an area the size of Greece, just gone, submerged underwater. That's a normal year. During a catastrophic flood, which happens every few years, that number can surge to a staggering 60%. 2/3 of the nation underwater. Think about what that means for daily life. How do you build a permanent home when the ground beneath your feet could literally be washed away tomorrow? Villages that have existed for generations can vanish in a single season of heavy rain. The rivers are so powerful, they carve new paths, creating islands called chars out of sediment one day, and reclaiming them the next. People living on these chars are nomads on their own land, forced to move constantly as the river gives and the river takes away. This constant state of flux makes long-term planning a near impossible task. How do you build stable infrastructure like roads, schools, or hospitals when the land itself is liquid? It's a relentless cycle of construction and destruction. Farmers plant their crops with the knowledge that a sudden flood could wipe out their entire harvest, their only source of income in a matter of hours. This isn't just an inconvenience. It's an existential threat to food security and economic stability. The challenges don't stop at the riverbanks. As a low-lying coastal nation, Bangladesh is on the front lines of climate change. Rising sea levels are a slow-moving disaster, pushing saltwater further and further inland. This process, called saline intrusion, is devastating. It contaminates freshwater sources that millions rely on for drinking, cooking, and bathing. It also poisons the soil, making it impossible to grow traditional crops like rice, forcing a shift to salt-tolerant shrimp farming, which offers far less food security for the local population. And then there are the cyclones. Slamming in from the Bay of Bengal, these powerful storms bring torrential rains and storm surges that can be several meters high, inundating vast coastal areas and causing widespread destruction. While the country has become incredibly skilled at disaster preparedness and early warning systems, the sheer power and frequency of these storms are overwhelming. Life in Bangladesh is a testament to human resilience. People have developed unique ways to adapt, from building homes on raised stilts to practicing floating agriculture on rafts made of water hyacinth. They have learned to live with the water, to respect its power, and to harness its gifts when they can. But it's a precarious existence, a constant dance with nature on a stage that is forever changing. Bangladesh is the ultimate example of what happens when a nation's fate is inextricably tied to water. It's a story of survival, adaptation, and the relentless struggle against a geography that is both a blessing and a curse. But from the flat, waterlogged plains of Bangladesh, our journey is about to take a dramatic turn upwards. In our next segment, we'll travel to the roof of the world to explore Nepal, a country that exists almost entirely on a vertical axis. What challenges arise when your nation is tilted on its side? Stay with us as we continue to explore the world's most extreme geographies. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next part of our journey. Thanks for watching. Come to Russia, a nation so vast it spans 11 time zones. But here's a twist you might not expect. Its immense size is actually its greatest weakness. Let's break down why Russia's geography is, ironically, one of the worst in the world. This vastness also means Russia is home to some of the most extreme and inhospitable environments on the planet. Think of Siberia. The name alone conjures images of endless snow and biting cold. And that image is pretty accurate. This isn't just a winter wonderland, it's a frozen dead zone. The ground is permanently frozen solid, making construction, farming, and resource extraction incredibly difficult and expensive. This creates a massive empty heartland that's more of a liability than an asset. Now let's talk about water. For a country with the longest coastline in the world, you'd think Russia would be a maritime superpower. But there's a catch. Most of its ports freeze solid in winter. From St. Petersburg in the Baltic to Vladivostok in the Pacific, icebreakers are a necessity, not a luxury. It severely limits international trade, strangles its naval power, and forces it to depend on other countries for access to global sea lanes. The Black Sea port of Novorossiysk is a rare exception, but its access to the Mediterranean is controlled by Turkey through the Bosphorus Strait. Putting Russia in a vulnerable position, this constant struggle for warm water access has shaped much of its foreign policy and military strategy. The sheer size of Russia also creates a supply chain problem of epic proportions. Getting goods from one end of the country to the other is a Herculean task. The Trans-Siberian Railway, while an engineering marvel, is a slow and costly way to transport resources and products. Imagine shipping fresh produce or critical supplies across a distance greater than the width of the entire United States, but through harsh, sparsely populated terrain. This makes everything more expensive, slows down economic development, and creates huge disparities between the well-supplied western cities and the isolated eastern regions. It's like trying to run a household where the kitchen is in one city and the dining room is in another. While its size has historically helped repel invaders like Napoleon and Hitler by stretching their supply lines to the breaking point, it also means Russia has to defend an impossibly long border with numerous neighbors. The same vast empty spaces that swallow armies also swallow resources that could be used for economic growth and improving people's lives. Development is concentrated in the west, around major cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg, while the vast eastern territories lag far behind. The cost of building and maintaining infrastructure in such a harsh environment is astronomical. As a result, many parts of the country feel disconnected and left behind, fueling social and political tensions. It's a fascinating case study in how geography can be destiny. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most compelling geopolitical stories. You won't want to miss it. See you in the next video. When you think of Egypt, what comes to mind? Probably the Great Pyramids, ancient pharaohs, and the mighty Nile River, right? For thousands of years, this has been the cradle of one of the world's most incredible civilizations. But there's a harsh reality hiding behind these iconic images. A geographic trap that has defined Egypt for millennia and continues to shape its destiny today. Let's take a closer look at the map. What you're seeing isn't just a country, It's a country overwhelmingly dominated by one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth, the Sahara Desert. This vast expanse of sand and rock isn't just a part of Egypt. For all practical purposes, it is Egypt. This tiny fraction is a thin green ribbon of life stretching through the barren wasteland. This ribbon is the Nile Valley and its delta. This creates our first major problem: severe overcrowding. Cities like Cairo are some of the most densely populated on the planet. The streets are a constant buzz of activity. Buildings are packed tightly together. The infrastructure is under immense strain. Every square inch of usable land is precious. This population density puts immense pressure on the social fabric and the environment. But the overcrowding is just a symptom of a much larger issue. The second and most critical geographic problem: Egypt's total and absolute dependence on the Nile River. The Nile isn't just a river, it's the country's lifeline. It's the source of drinking water, the backbone of transportation, and the essential ingredient for all agriculture. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus famously called Egypt the gift of the Nile, and that statement is as true today as it was 2,500 years ago. This complete reliance creates a terrifying vulnerability. Any significant reduction in the Nile's flow would spell disaster. And this isn't a hypothetical threat. Geopolitical tensions over water rights are rising, particularly with countries upstream like Ethiopia, which is building massive dams. A weaker Nile means less water for everyone, leading to a crisis that would affect every single aspect of Egyptian life, from the food on their plates to the stability of their economy. It's a precarious balancing act with no room for error. This leads us directly to the third major challenge: agricultural stress. The thin strip of fertile land along the Nile has been farmed for thousands of years. The dam provided crucial electricity and controlled the destructive floods, but it also stopped the flow of that vital silt. Today, farmers have to rely heavily on chemical fertilizers, which can degrade the soil over time. They are constantly battling the encroaching desert, a climate that offers almost no rainfall, and the ever-present limitations on water for irrigation. It's a high-stakes battle against nature, and the pressure is relentless. This brings us to the fourth geographic hurdle: the near impossibility of large-scale expansion. Building new cities in the middle of the Sahara is not as simple as it sounds. The logistical and financial costs are astronomical. You would need to build everything from scratch: roads, power grids, and most importantly, a way to transport massive quantities of water over vast distances. The Egyptian government has initiated ambitious projects to build new desert cities, like the new administrative capital. The goal is to ease the pressure on Cairo and create new economic hubs. However, these projects are incredibly expensive and face immense challenges. Desalinating seawater is an option, but it's energy-intensive and costly. Pumping water from the Nile would only further strain the already overallocated river. It has a rich past, but a future constrained by a landscape that is 95% hostile to human life. This tight geography has shaped everything from its ancient history. It's allowing a centralized state to control the river and its resources to its modern-day challenges of population growth and water security. It's a stark reminder that no matter how advanced our technology becomes, geography remains one of the most powerful forces shaping the destiny of nations. Yet cursed by a terrain so difficult it fuels conflict and hinders progress, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Diamonds, gold, cobalt, copper, and coltan, the stuff that powers our smartphones. And yet, for decades, it has been trapped in a cycle of conflict, instability, and extreme poverty. They are disconnected, left to fend for themselves, making it easier for local militias and armed groups to take control. It's a paradox. The source of wealth is also a source of isolation and instability. Let's talk about the river that gives the country its name, the Congo River. Think about that. All the resources mined deep in the country, and simply be floated downriver to be shipped to the rest of the world. They have to be transported over land around these rapids, an expensive and logistical nightmare that has crippled the country's economic potential for centuries. For a country of its size, there are virtually no paved highways connecting its major cities. This lack of infrastructure has devastating consequences. It means farmers can't get their crops to market, so they rot in the fields while people in the cities go hungry. It means medicine and aid can't reach remote villages. It means that the state has no real physical presence in vast swaths of its own territory. This long, porous border, stretching for thousands of miles through dense jungle and mountains, is almost impossible to control. It's a land of staggering beauty and heartbreaking paradox. A place blessed with unimaginable riches, but cursed by the very earth that holds them. Understanding this geographical reality is the first step to understanding the profound challenges facing the Congolese people in their long struggle for peace and prosperity. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this exploration of geography and history interesting, please consider subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into how our world is shaped. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.